So we're going to answer this example before us, and it's slightly different to what we've seen before. So it's saying solve sine of theta is equal to the square root of 3 on 2, for theta is an element of 0 to 4 pi. So what makes it different is that we're no longer dealing with a domain of 0 to 2 pi, we're dealing with a domain of 0 to 4 pi. And in all the examples that we're going to see coming up now, all our domains are just going to be a little funky and really get us to think. So let's visualize what this is actually saying to us. So sine of theta, let's draw that. So I've got y equals sine of theta, and it looks like this. So as you can see, I've drawn it so that it has two periods, 2 pi, 4 pi. So it's going over two periods because I need to account for the fact that my domain is 4 pi. I then am going to sketch the square root of 3 on 2. Here it is right here, y is equal to the square root of 3 on 2. Now, what do you notice about how many intersection points that I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 places where the two lines intersect. So because I've got a greater domain, I have more intersection points. And that's really the big takeaway that you need to take away from this. That if you have a difference in your domain, you have to double check how many solutions you're going to have, because it can alter it. Okay, having now presented all of that, let's jump into this example here. And I might show you how you can go about this without having to draw a special triangle as your first move. You can, if you want to figure out what that reference angle is going to be, but you could also just do this. You could just, what I do in my head is just picture my unit circle. Then I'm saying, well, I'm dealing with sine, so I've got y, and then I've got the square root of 3 on 2, and I know that's my biggest possible value. So it's going to be somewhere up here, right? So it's going to be there, it's going to be there, so it's going to be here, and it's going to be here. So sine of what value? Sine of what value? So what would the angle have to be to give me the biggest one out? And that's going to have to be, the reference angle is going to have to be pi on 3. Again, you could use your special triangle to figure that out, or you just might have them all memorized as well, which is also very good. Okay, so I've got pi on 3 there. And we also need to figure out what it's going to be, because it's not only in my first quadrant, as you can see, it's also in my second quadrant. So let's just scroll down here a bit. I'm going to get theta is equal to pi on 3. And it's also going to be equal to, in my second quadrant, this is going to be 2 pi on 3. But hopefully you can see that I'm not done yet, because this would be pi on 3. This would be 2 pi on 3. I also need to figure out this and this. So how am I going to do that? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to plus 2 pi to both of these to figure out what the ones over here are, because we know that they're separated by 2 pi. So we're going to come here now, and I'm going to plus 2 pi onto that, and I'm going to plus 2 pi onto that as well. All right, so pi on 3 plus 2 pi is the same as plussing 6 pi on 3, so it's going to be 7 pi on 3. Then over here, 2 pi on 3 plus 2 pi is the same thing as 6 pi on 3, so it's going to be 8 pi on 3. And that is what my answer is going to be. So let's highlight that. Perfect, and that's it. Let me just put a little caveat here. If you're having trouble with adding 2 pi onto things, what you need to become relatively proficient at is going, all right, I have 2 pi on 3. I need to get my denominators to be the same, right? So I need to times this by 3, this by 3. Pi on 3 is therefore the same as 6 pi on 3, 7 pi on 3. So preferably what I want you to be able to do is to do this in your head to get those values there. But that's what you're doing to get these answers. So hopefully this situates you in terms of what you're doing here. Very much similar to what you're doing before. You just have to make sure that you've got the right number of solutions for this. So let me just come over here. So this means if I come over here, this will be 7 pi on 3. And this will be 8 pi on 3. And we're done.